I'm Lise. I'm from a company called Walk with Pape. We're a small company working on devices to improve mobility and reduce the risk of falls, which is, of course, a subject that's just been mentioned. So I'm going to just briefly mention the impact of falls, just to kind of set the scene a little bit. So in the UK, 1 in every 3 over 65 fall at least once a year. And actually, it's 5 people every single minute. So it's a very significant problem. Of course, it leads to a reduction in quality of life and independence for the individual. We're going to talk about 2 products here. So we've also got a specific product for freezing of gait, which was also mentioned earlier, a specific Parkinson's symptom. So I'm just going to describe these 2 products during the presentation. The cost of healthcare associated with falls is also significant, with the NHS spending close to £5 million every single day. And our aim is to, of course, try and reduce that cost, but the main focus is on improving the quality of life for the individuals. Eric also briefly mentioned one of the problems around falls being that physiotherapy, which can be a very effective solution, has an incredibly high non-compliance rate. It's actually 70%, and is therefore ineffective. So our first product is called Pape Feel. It's an insole that goes into a user's own shoes. So it kind of goes in line with what Eric was mentioning about either creating something invisible or something desirable. We've gone down the route of creating something invisible for this purpose, and also creating an object that somebody elderly, which is perhaps the wrong word, but I'm going to use it anyway in this context, understands. So it's a known object, and somebody using it will know how to engage with it. The insole that we have provides a vibrational feedback under the sole of the foot during walking. So it has electronics in it, and this vibrational feedback is intended both to help people with neuropathy, which is a condition where people start losing sensation on the bottom of their feet, often as a result of aging or diabetes or neurological conditions. And the aim here is that the vibrational feedback very much enhances the natural sensation of touch that you have with the ground when your foot hits it. There's also a lot of indication that vibration can help to improve balance, and we're currently testing that with our specific device. Our second solution is called Pathfinder, and that's specific to people with Parkinson's. We briefly talked about freezing. Essentially, freezing is something that can happen to somebody with Parkinson's at any moment. It usually shows itself by the person wanting to walk, say, from where I am now over to the corner there through that doorway. Freezing can happen typically when you have a narrowing of space, so very much in the home, where you have doorways, tables, chairs that you need to navigate. And freezing manifests itself by the person walking and suddenly being unable to. And as you can imagine, you're in movement, and therefore, again, you have a very high risk of falling when that happens. Freezing of gait is known to be possible to overcome by certain means. One of those is using visual cues and triggers, which is known to trigger walking for the individual. So we've implemented a laser device onto a person's own shoes, and this laser device projects a visual cue in the form of a line that the person can then use to step across. It's activated by pressure, so in a sense, when the left foot is on the ground, it will project a line for the right foot to step across, and vice versa. So we've tested that with a university partner in the Netherlands, and found a 55% reduction in freezing of gait in our initial pilot, which we're looking to expand upon with a bigger study. Also, just to mention, Parkinson's UK did a kind of great research project recently with individuals with Parkinson's, their close ones, and also scientific professionals, and found that balance and falls was really the number one key issues for these populations. So the market is quite large for specifically sensory neuropathy. It's a problem of many different types of users, not only elderly and people with diabetes, can also be a side effect of chemotherapy. So it's really a lot of people that can be impacted by neuropathy. And there's 2 million people, for instance, in the UK alone. And in terms of Parkinson's, there's also a vast amount of people, over 100,000 in the UK alone. I'll just briefly describe who we are a little bit as well. As Eric mentioned, I have a background from the Royal College of Arts and Imperial, as do two of my colleagues, but we're also supported on a scientific level by professors from Imperial who generally kind of advise us in our progress. We've also won a range of awards and had support from the Digital Catapult, where we've been exhibiting in the branch in Euston in London, and still are. So we have some products on display there until end of July, if anybody is coming by. And where we are at the moment, we're looking also at IoT solutions, specifically with our insole product, as it gathers a lot of data. And we've done a study to basically link that up to data normally tracked in a gait laboratory, where you do the initial kind of assessment. And the aim there is to use the insole as a means to track somebody's disease progression, and also how they're impacted by their medication, for instance. So there's an element of personalized medicine that could be very exciting to explore. And as I said, we're doing studies at the moment to essentially prove the technology is working as hypothesized. So that's it, thank you, and I would welcome any questions.